Days turned into weeks as Jake and Lyra continued building a peaceful life within the hidden community. They worked hard, earning the trust and friendship of everyone around them. Lyra openly used her powers, gently bringing prosperity to their new home by growing food, healing the sick, and helping to strengthen their shelters. But Jake never fully relaxed, knowing Officer Ryan wouldn't give up easily. He often patrolled the outskirts of the community, always alert and ready. He also taught the villagers basic defense skills, helping them feel safer and more confident. One afternoon, as Jake trained several villagers in self-defense, a scout hurried into the clearing, his expression filled with urgency. "Jake, someone is approaching. It's a large group of soldiers. They're heavily armed and moving quickly." Jake's heart tightened, understanding immediately that Officer Ryan had returned with reinforcements. He quickly organized everyone, instructing them to gather and prepare for defense, yet reminding them to remain calm. Lyra appeared at his side, her gentle face showing determination. "I'll do what I can to help Jake. I won't let them harm anyone." "Here," Jake nodded gratefully, knowing her presence would make a big difference. "Stay close to me, Lyra. Together, we'll face this." The villagers gathered nervously at the center of their community as Officer Ryan and his soldiers emerged from the trees, surrounding them completely. Ryan stepped forward, his eyes cold and voice harsh. "Jake, hand her over. This is your last chance. If you refuse, we'll take her by force." Jake stood tall and firm, shaking his head. "We won't surrender, Lyra. She's done nothing wrong. She's part of our community now." The villagers stood behind Jake, showing their support silently. Officer Ryan sneered in frustration. "Then you leave us no choice." The soldiers moved forward menacingly. Jake prepared himself, ready to fight, but suddenly Lyra stepped forward, her eyes gently glowing, yet calm. "Stop," she commanded softly but firmly. "You say you want peace, yet you only bring violence. Let me show you what I truly can do." Before anyone could react, Lyra raised her hands gently. A calming wave of energy spread outward, surrounding the soldiers and villagers alike. The air filled with warmth and kindness, easing the soldiers' tension and causing them to pause in confusion. Slowly, Lyra approached Officer Ryan, her expression peaceful. "You don't need to fear me. I don't want to fight. My powers are meant for healing, for peace. Let me show you." Ryan hesitated, his eyes flickering uncertainly. But stubbornness clouded his face, and he raised his weapon again. "I can't trust you." At that moment, one of Ryan's soldiers stepped forward, lowering his weapon. "Officer Ryan, she's not our enemy. Look at what she's done. She hasn't hurt anyone. Maybe we've been wrong." Others began murmuring agreement, gradually lowering their weapons as well. Officer Ryan looked around, realizing he was losing control. Angrily, he turned back toward Lyra. "Prove it then," he snapped harshly. "If your powers truly bring peace, heal this." He revealed a deep wound on his arm, sustained during a recent battle. Lyra calmly stepped closer, placing her hands gently above his injury. A soft glow enveloped his arm, quickly healing the wound. Completely, Officer Ryan stared in disbelief, touching his healed arm in wonder. For the first time, uncertainty and regret filled his eyes. He stepped back slowly, visibly shaken. "I was wrong," Ryan admitted quietly, glancing at his soldiers. "We all were. She's not our enemy. She's someone special." Jake felt immense relief as the soldiers finally lowered their weapons completely, acknowledging their mistake. The tension faded, replaced by understanding and respect. As the soldiers slowly departed, Ryan approached Jake and Lyra once more. His expression humbled. "Forgive us. We acted out of fear and ignorance. You've shown us another way." Jake nodded respectfully. "Thank you for seeing the truth." Ryan and his soldiers left peacefully, promising to speak highly of Lyra's kindness and strength to others. The villagers surrounded Jake and Lyra, expressing gratitude and admiration for their bravery. That night, as the community gathered around a warm fire to celebrate, Jake and Lyra sat quietly together, smiling gently at the peaceful faces around them. Jake took Lyra's hand softly, his voice filled with pride. "You did it, Lyra. You showed everyone your true power, your kindness, and your heart." Lyra squeezed his hand, her eyes shining with joy and relief. "I couldn't have done it without you, Jake. You taught me to believe in myself." Jake smiled warmly, knowing that despite the challenges still to come, they had won something precious, that day acceptance and peace. Together, they faced the future with hope and courage, confident in their shared strength and friendship. Jake and Lyra quickly realized that hiding forever was not possible. After the soldiers left, they sat silently in the cave, both thinking deeply about their next move. Jake could see the worry clearly written on Lyra's face and knew he needed to come up with a safe plan. "Lyra, we can't keep running and hiding," Jake finally said quietly. "We need to show everyone you're not a threat, that you can help." Lyra looked nervous but nodded slowly. "I don't want anyone else hurt because of me, but will they listen?" Jake placed his hand gently over hers, giving her comfort. "They have to. If they can see the real you, they'll understand." They stayed another night, resting and preparing themselves. Early the next morning, they carefully made their way back toward the base, deciding it was time to face everyone directly. Jake knew it was risky, but it was the only way to clear. Their names dot as they approached the base. Several soldiers spotted them immediately. Soon, they were surrounded by men and women, all watching them closely, but keeping their distance. Jake held Lyra's hand tightly, reassuring her silently as they walked forward. Captain Adams appeared quickly, looking both relieved and stern. "Jake, Lyra, you've come back willingly?" "Yes, Captain," Jake answered clearly. "We came back to show that we aren't enemies. Lyra can help us." Captain Adams seemed uncertain but finally nodded. "All right, Jake, we will give you a chance to prove it." He led Jake and Lyra into a large meeting room filled with senior officers and base leaders. They watched Lyra carefully, suspicion clear on many faces. Jake stood beside her protectively, sensing her fear. Captain Adams stepped forward, addressing the group. "Jake Harris and Lyra have come back voluntarily. Jake claims Lyra can help us greatly against the Valorians. It's time we listened." The room was silent. Jake gently encouraged Lyra with a nod. Slowly, she stepped forward, eyes gentle but determined. She raised her hand, and a nearby flower pot suddenly sprouted fresh flowers, vibrant and alive. Gasps filled the room as people watched in awe. "This is just a small part of what I can do," Lyra said quietly but confidently. "I don't want to fight, but I can heal wounds and help protect people. Please let me." The officers exchanged glances, clearly impressed but cautious. Captain Adams finally spoke. "If you truly can help our people, we will give you the chance. But understand that trust must be earned." Lyra nodded earnestly, grateful for the opportunity. Over the following days, she and Jake worked tirelessly, showing the soldiers her gentle powers. She healed injured troops, helped grow much-needed food supplies, and used her skills to protect and strengthen the base defenses. Slowly, the soldiers began to see Lyra not as a threat, but as an essential ally. Even the most doubtful began to accept her, showing kindness and respect. Jake watched proudly as Lyra's confidence grew each day. However, trouble still lingered beneath the surface. A small group of officers, led secretly by Officer Ryan, continued to view Lyra with distrust and anger. They believed she was dangerous and sought to remove her from the base permanently. One afternoon, while Jake was busy helping organize supplies, he overheard whispers from two soldiers. They spoke quietly about a secret plan to abduct Lyra that very night. Jake's heart raced with panic, knowing he had to act quickly. He rushed to find Lyra, pulling her aside into their quarters. "Lyra, we need to leave again. You're not safe here. Some soldiers still see you as a threat and plan to take you tonight." Lyra's eyes filled with tears, disappointed that their hard work still wasn't enough. "Where will we go, Jake?" Jake's mind raced for an answer. We need to find allies outside the base, people who understand your powers and can help us. Quickly packing essential items, they slipped out quietly, using the shadows to hide their escape. Jake remembered hearing stories of a hidden community nearby, filled with people who rejected the harshness of war. They set their sights on finding this community, hoping to discover support and safety there. Traveling through dense forests, they moved carefully, always alert. As night fell, Jake made camp in a small clearing, making a fire to keep them warm. Lyra sat silently beside him, lost in thought. "Jake, what if no one ever accepts me fully?" she whispered sadly. Jake placed his arm gently around her shoulders. "Then we'll keep going. I'll always accept you, Lyra. You're not alone." Comforted by his words, Lyra rested her head gently on his shoulder, finding strength in their friendship. Early the next day, they continued their journey. After hours of careful travel, they finally reached the edge of the rumored hidden community. They were greeted cautiously, but not with hostility. Jake stepped forward, explaining their situation carefully. "We seek peace and safety. Lyra is special, gifted with powers she uses only to heal and help others. We've been rejected by those who fear her. Can we stay here?" Jake asked hopefully. An elderly woman stepped forward from the gathered crowd, her eyes wise and kind. "We've heard rumors about you both. Here, we judge people by their actions and their hearts. You are welcome to stay as long as you wish." Relief filled Jake and Lyra as they thanked her warmly. Over the next several days, they settled into their new home, quickly earning respect through acts of kindness and generosity. Lyra used her powers openly, bringing new life and prosperity to the community. Jake helped with physical tasks, using his strength to build and protect their new home. Yet, deep down, Jake knew their struggle wasn't over. Officer Ryan and his allies wouldn't easily give up their pursuit. Jake stayed alert, preparing himself and Lyra for any danger that might still come. One evening, as Jake patrolled near the community's perimeter, he heard movement in the nearby bushes. He quickly drew his weapon, eyes sharp and ready. From the shadows emerged Officer Ryan, his expression cold and determined. "You can't keep running forever, Jake," Ryan sneered, stepping forward. "Give us the girl, and we might spare you." Jake stood firm, his voice strong. "Lyra is not a weapon. She's a kind soul who deserves peace. I'll protect her no matter what." Officer Ryan raised his weapon threateningly. But before he could move further, Lyra appeared suddenly at Jake's side, her eyes glowing softly but steadily. "Leave us alone," Lyra commanded calmly. "I don't want to hurt you, but I will protect Jake and our friends." Officer Ryan hesitated, sensing her determination and strength. With a final glare, he backed away into the shadows, disappearing without a word. Jake turned gratefully to Lyra, admiration shining in his eyes. "You're stronger than you think, Lyra." She smiled softly, confidence finally clear in her gentle face. "Only because you believe in me, Jake." Together, they returned to the safety of their new community, knowing challenges still awaited them, but also knowing that together they could overcome anything. After the tense encounter with the officers, Jake knew the situation had become dangerous. Lyra's powers were no longer a secret. News spread rapidly across the base, stirring curiosity and suspicion among the soldiers. Jake could see the way. People whispered when they passed by, their eyes lingering on Lyra with a mixture of awe and fear. One morning, Jake woke up early, sensing trouble in the air. He glanced across the room to where Lyra sat silently, watching the sun rise through the small window. Her face was filled with worry. Jake approached quietly, sitting beside her. "Couldn't sleep?" he asked gently. Lyra shook her head slowly. "I'm scared, Jake. They're all afraid of me. What if they try to hurt me again?" Jake gently placed a reassuring hand on her shoulder. "I won't let anyone harm you, Lyra. Trust me. We'll face this together." Despite his comforting words, Jake knew they had to prepare. He spent the morning reinforcing their quarters, carefully checking doors and windows to ensure their safety. Lyra helped quietly, her eyes often drifting towards the soldiers outside in the afternoon. Captain Adams visited them again. This time, his expression was serious, and he looked directly at Lyra. "I need to speak with both of you. It's important." Jake nodded cautiously, inviting the captain inside. Once seated, Captain Adams spoke plainly. "Lyra, your powers are extraordinary. The leadership believes you could be valuable in our fight against the Valorians." Lyra's eyes widened in fear. "I don't want to fight. I don't want to hurt anyone." Captain Adams nodded understandingly, but remained firm. "We are losing people every day. Your abilities could save countless lives. You have a responsibility." Jake stepped forward protectively. "Captain, you can't force her. She needs time. She doesn't fully control her powers yet." Captain Adams sighed, nodding reluctantly. "I understand, but time is not something we have plenty of. I'll give you a few days to think about it. After that, I can't guarantee your safety." After the captain left, Jake sat beside Lyra, concern etched deeply into his face. "We have some tough choices to make. Whatever happens, I'm here with you." Over the next few days, Jake and Lyra practiced their skills even more intensely. Lyra slowly gained more control, becoming confident in using her abilities without harming others. Yet anxiety remained, knowing the base leadership was growing impatient. Late one evening, Jake heard frantic knocking at their door. He quickly opened it, finding a young soldier named Liam standing nervously outside. "Jake, they're coming for Lyra. I overheard some officers talking. They plan to take her tonight." Jake thanked Liam urgently and closed the door, turning to Lyra. "We need to leave now." Without hesitation, they quickly gathered a few belongings and quietly slipped out into the night. Under the cover of darkness, they moved swiftly, heading for the dense forest beyond the base. Jake had previously scouted a hidden spot in the woods, a safe place where they could hide temporarily. They walked carefully through the trees, guided only by the faint glow of the moonlight filtering through the branches. Finally reaching their destination, Jake led Lyra into a small cave hidden behind thick bush. It was simple but secure. Inside, Jake built a small fire to warm them. Lyra sat close, clearly exhausted but relieved to be safe for the moment. She looked up at him gratefully. "Thank you, Jake. You keep risking everything for me." Jake smiled gently. "Because you're worth it, Lyra. You show me strength and kindness. You deserve to live free and safe." As the night passed, they talked softly, sharing stories about their past. Jake spoke about growing up in a small town, joining the military to protect others. Lyra spoke about her difficult life, always considered weak and worthless by her own people. "You're not worthless," Jake reassured her. "You're strong and brave. You've survived things that would have broken others." She smiled softly, leaning her head gently against his shoulder. Comforted by his presence, morning came quickly, bringing sunlight and fresh danger. They knew their absence would be discovered soon, and the search for them would begin. Jake prepared, carefully, gathering food and water from nearby streams and plants. Lyra used her powers gently to help him, encouraging plants to grow and provide fruit quickly. Around midday, they heard voices approaching. Jake quickly extinguished the fire and motioned for Lyra to hide deep within the cave. He positioned himself protectively near the entrance, ready for anything. Several soldiers appeared through the trees, clearly searching for them. Jake recognized one officer leading them, Officer Ryan, known for his harsh attitude. "Jake," Officer Ryan called out sternly, "we know you're hiding. Bring the alien girl out now, and we'll make sure you're treated fairly." Jake responded calmly, his voice steady. "She hasn't done anything wrong." "Leave us alone," Officer Ryan sneered, stepping forward aggressively. "You're harboring a danger to us all. Give her up now, or we'll take her by force." As they moved closer, Jake prepared to defend himself. But suddenly Lyra stepped forward from the shadows, determination clear in her eyes. "Stop," she said firmly. "I won't let you hurt Jake or me." Officer Ryan laughed mockingly, signaling. his men forward. But before they could move, Lyra raised her hands, eyes glowing brightly. Trees and bushes began to tremble, blocking the soldiers' path. "Leave," she commanded firmly, her voice echoing powerfully, "or I won't be able to hold." Back, the soldiers hesitated, glancing nervously at each other. Seeing Lyra's clear control and strength, Officer Ryan finally signaled his men to retreat, muttering angrily. When they were safely gone, Jake turned to Lyra, amazed and proud. "You did it, Lyra. You showed them you're strong and in control." Lyra nodded slowly, though sadness shadowed her eyes. "But they won't stop chasing us, Jake." "No, they won't," he admitted quietly. "But we'll keep fighting and protecting each other." They knew their journey was far from over. They had made powerful enemies, yet Jake was more determined than ever. Together, he and Lyra would face whatever challenges awaited them, united by trust, friendship, and courage. Jake and Lyra stood silently, staring at each other as the echoes of Lyra's power faded away. Her hands still trembled slightly, and her eyes, now back to their normal gentle gaze, looked nervously at Jake. She seemed scared of what he might. "Think of her now." "Jake," Lyra whispered softly, fear creeping into her voice. "Are you upset with me?" Jake gently squeezed her hand, shaking his head slowly. "No, Lyra, I'm not upset. I'm amazed. You're stronger and more special than anyone here realizes. We must keep this between us for now. Do you understand?" Lyra nodded slowly, her worry easing slightly at his calm words. "I've always been told that I was weak and useless. I've hidden this power because it scared others. But I couldn't stand seeing them hurt you." Jake smiled reassuringly. "You did the right thing, Lyra. I trust you, and I promise to keep you safe." From that day, Jake spent every spare moment helping Lyra understand her powers. He took her to quiet places where no one could watch, far away from prying eyes. He encouraged her to focus, gently teaching her to control the incredible abilities hidden within her small frame. At first, Lyra was hesitant and fearful. But Jake's patience and kindness slowly helped her feel safe and confident. She learned quickly, discovering she could move objects with just her mind and even heal small wounds simply by touching them. One sunny afternoon, Jake and Lyra sat near the edge of the forest. Birds sang gently, and a soft breeze rustled the leaves. Jake placed a small, smooth stone in front of her. "Try lifting it, Lyra," he urged quietly. Lyra looked at the stone carefully. Her eyes narrowed slightly, focusing her thoughts. Slowly, the stone began to rise, wobbling gently in the air before floating steadily between them. Jake's face lit up with pride. "You're doing great," he said excitedly. Encouraged, Lyra moved the stone around gently, making it spin slowly. A delighted smile spread across her face. But suddenly, voices from the distance startled her. The stone dropped sharply, hitting the ground with a soft thud. Jake turned quickly, seeing two soldiers approaching from a distance, laughing loudly. He gently touched Lyra's shoulder. "It's all right. Let's go back now." Back at their quarters, Jake noticed Lyra was still troubled. He sat beside her, concerned. "What's wrong, Lyra?" She hesitated before quietly admitting, "Jake, sometimes I'm afraid I might hurt someone with my powers. They're strong, and if I lose control." Jake took her hand gently, his voice soothing. "You have a good heart, Lyra. I know you'll never intentionally hurt anyone. We'll take it slow, okay? You're not alone." As weeks passed, Lyra's confidence grew. She began to use her powers more easily, helping Jake secretly around the camp. Flowers bloomed brighter, and small wounds healed quickly whenever she was near. Yet, Jake remained cautious, aware that revealing too much could put her in danger. One evening, as Jake returned from patrol, he saw Captain Adams waiting near his quarters. His expression was stern. "Jake," the captain called, his tone serious. "We need to talk." Jake approached, feeling uneasy. "Yes, Captain?" Captain Adams glanced toward Jake's quarters, lowering his voice. "I've noticed you've been spending a lot of time with that alien girl. Is there something going on that I should know about? Jake stayed calm, his voice steady. Lyra's my responsibility, sir. I've been helping her adjust. She's harmless. Captain Adams watched Jake carefully, then nodded slowly. Be careful, Jake. People talk. You don't want trouble, and neither do I. Jake nodded respectfully. Understood, Captain. After the captain left, Jake entered the room to find Lyra waiting anxiously. She had overheard their conversation and was clearly frightened. Jake, they suspect something, don't they? She whispered. He took a deep breath, trying to calm her fears. They're just being cautious. Don't worry. I'll protect you, Lyra. We just need to be more careful. Days later, Jake was assigned to lead a patrol deep into Valorian territory. He felt uneasy about leaving Lyra alone, but had no choice. He made sure she was safe, instructing her to stay inside their quarters until he returned. While Jake was gone, Lyra tried to stay calm, but her anxiety grew as hours passed. Suddenly, loud banging at the door startled her. Soldiers burst in, their expressions cold. You're coming with us, one soldier ordered roughly, grabbing her arm. Wait, please. Lyra pleaded, terrified. What did I do? They ignored her pleas, dragging her to a small, isolated building near the edge of the base. Inside, several officers stood waiting, their eyes cold and curious. We've heard strange things about you, one officer stated, his voice icy. Show! Use what you can do. Lyra shook her head fearfully. Please, I can't. I don't want to hurt anyone. You will show us, willingly or not, another officer snapped, stepping threateningly close. Panicked, Lyra's eyes began to glow faintly. The room trembled slightly, causing the officers to step back in alarm. Meanwhile, Jake returned from his patrol, immediately sensing something was wrong. He rushed to their quarters, finding the door wide open and Lyra gone. Fear clutched at his heart as he hurried through the base, desperately searching for her. Finally, hearing commotion near the isolated building, Jake burst inside. Lyra stood trembling, surrounded by fearful officers. The room's walls shook gently, clearly affected by her rising panic. Stop, Jake commanded loudly, stepping protectively in front of her. Leave her alone. Jake, one officer argued angrily, you don't understand. She's dangerous. Jake stood firm, his voice unwavering. No, you don't understand. She's only frightened. You've pushed her to this. Lyra slowly calmed, her eyes returning to normal as Jake spoke softly to her. It's all right now, Lyra. I'm here. The officers exchanged uneasy glances, but backed down, clearly shaken by what they had seen. As Jake led Lyra away, he knew they were now in real danger. Her secret was out, and they had become targets. Inside their quarters, Jake gently wiped tears from Lyra's eyes. I'm sorry, Jake, she whispered sadly. I didn't mean for any of this to happen. He held her hands gently, determination in his voice. This isn't your fault, Lyra. You're not alone. I'll keep you safe, no matter what. As they sat quietly together, both knew that their peaceful days had ended. Yet, despite the uncertainty ahead, they found comfort in knowing they faced it together. The battle had finally ended, leaving silence behind where before there had been chaos. Smoke drifted lazily through the air, and the wreckage of the fierce fight lay scattered across the scorched ground. Soldiers, weary but relieved, began gathering. Grateful for the victory they had worked so hard to achieve, Jake Harris stood among his fellow soldiers, his face covered in dust and soot, his uniform torn. Despite his tiredness, there was a calmness in his blue eyes that came from surviving. Yet another harsh conflict. His bravery during the battle had caught the attention of his leaders, and now he stood waiting for whatever reward they had promised. Captain Henry Adams walked forward, a tall and stern man respected by everyone. He stopped in front of Jake and nodded, a rare smile touching his lips. Jake Harris, your courage today did not go unnoticed. You saved many lives out there. The Alliance wishes to reward you for your bravery. The gathered soldiers watched curiously as the captain motioned. Behind him, two guards stepped forward, leading someone between them. Jake's heart tightened as he saw the frail alien girl. She was thin and small, with pale gray skin and large eyes that seemed too big for her narrow face. Her dark hair hung limply, making her appear even smaller. The soldiers began to whisper, some laughing softly, knowing this was no real reward. Captain Adams continued, "This is Lyra. She is yours, a gift from the Alliance as thanks for your bravery." Jake looked into the frightened eyes of the alien girl, seeing clearly how nervous she was. His heart filled with pity, but also something else, a determination to protect her from further shame. Jake stepped forward and gently took her arm, his touch kind. "Thank you, Captain," Jake said, his voice steady and respectful. "I accept this reward gratefully." Captain Adams nodded again, a bit surprised at Jake's sincerity. The soldiers parted, and Jake led Lyra away, guiding her gently toward his quarters. She walked quietly beside him, eyes downcast. Clearly expecting harsh words or worse got inside his small room, Jake carefully closed the door behind them. He gestured towards a chair, inviting her to sit. Lyra hesitated, confusion clear on her face. Jake offered her a gentle smile, his voice soft and reassuring. "Please, sit down. You're safe here." Slowly, carefully, Lyra took a seat, her thin fingers nervously gripping the edge of the chair. Jake poured water into a small glass and handed it to her. Her hand shook slightly as she accepted it, taking a cautious sip. She glanced up, clearly puzzled by his kindness. "My name is Jake," he said quietly, sitting across from her, keeping a respectful distance. "You're Lyra, right?" She nodded slowly, her large eyes watching him carefully. "Yes," she whispered, her voice barely audible. "Why are you being kind?" "To me?" Jake considered her question, understanding why she would ask. "Because you're not an object. You're a person, just like me. You deserve respect and kindness." For a moment, something like surprise flickered in her eyes, but it quickly vanished, replaced again by caution. She lowered her gaze, her voice trembling. "I'm not used to this. No one has ever treated me this way before." "Well, get used to it," Jake said gently. "From now on, you're not alone. I'll make sure you're safe." Lyra stared at him, clearly unsure if she could trust his words, but desperate to believe them. Slowly, her tense shoulders relaxed just a little. Jake could sense that she had lived a difficult life filled with neglect and cruelty. Days passed quietly, and Jake did his best to make Lyra comfortable. Each day, she seemed less afraid and more curious. She began to speak more openly, sharing little details about her life. Jake learned that her people, the Valorians, had always considered her weak and unattractive, pushing her aside and treating her poorly. One morning, Jake and Lyra were tending a small garden behind the barracks. Jake had suggested it, hoping it would help her feel more at home. As Lyra gently touched a withered flower, Jake saw something astonishing happen. The flower suddenly bloomed, its petals vibrant and alive. Jake stared, speechless. "Did you do that, Lyra?" She pulled her hand back, frightened. "I'm sorry. It happens sometimes when I touch things." "I didn't mean to." "Don't apologize," Jake said softly, his eyes wide with wonder. "That's incredible. You have a gift, Lyra." Lyra looked down shyly, uncertain. "It's always scared others. They called me strange and kept their distance." Jake smiled reassuringly. "Well, I'm not scared. Your gift is beautiful, just like you." For the first time, Jake saw a small, hesitant smile appear on her face, lighting her large eyes. He knew at that moment that he had made the right choice in treating her with kindness and respect. As time went on, Jake began noticing other unusual things around Lyra. Small injuries healed unusually fast when she was around. Occasionally, lights flicker or electronics buzz slightly when she became emotional. Jake watched all of this with quiet amazement, realizing there was much more to Lyra than anyone had ever imagined. One evening, As Jake sat polishing his gear, he heard shouting outside his quarters. He stepped out quickly and found several soldiers. Confronting Lyra, they mocked her openly, laughing at her appearance and frail build. Anger surged through Jake as he pushed through them, placing himself protectively in front of her. "Leave her alone," Jake said firmly, his voice calm but firm. One soldier sneered. "Why protect something so worthless, Jake?" "She's not worthless," Jake replied steadily. "She's my friend, and she deserves respect." The soldiers laughed cruelly, stepping forward menacingly. Jake braced himself, ready to defend Lyra at all costs. But suddenly, he felt a surge of powerful energy beside him. Lyra's eyes were glowing softly, her hands trembling. "Stop!" She cried out desperately. Instantly, an invisible force pushed the attackers back, sending them sprawling across the ground. Stunned, they scrambled to their feet, staring at Lyra in shock and fear. Jake turned to her, amazed by her sudden strength. Looked at him nervously, her eyes wide with fear of his reaction. Jake gently took her hand, his voice filled with admiration. "You're amazing, Lyra. Never be ashamed of your strength." At that moment, trust blossomed fully between them. Jake knew their lives were about to change dramatically, but he was determined to face whatever came next with her at his side. Ethan stood quietly on the bridge of his command ship, gazing thoughtfully into the endless darkness of space. Reports indicated that Valeria had been rebuilding her fleet quickly, gathering strength once more. Despite humanity's recent victories, Ethan knew they could never underestimate their enemy. The war was far from over, and everyone felt the tension building again. Suddenly, the communications officer turned sharply toward Ethan, concern on her face. "Captain Cole, we're receiving an urgent distress signal from the research outpost. On Titan, they're under attack. Set course immediately," Ethan commanded firmly. Olivia gave a quick nod, quickly relaying orders to the crew. The fleet swiftly moved toward Titan, the largest moon of Saturn. As they approached, Ethan's sensors clearly showed the devastation Valeria's forces had already caused. Smoke and debris filled the orbit around the moon, and several research stations were severely damaged. "All ships, prepare for combat," Ethan ordered calmly, gripping the controls tightly. His fleet advanced quickly, ready to confront the attacking Zalorian ships. Ethan piloted skillfully, guiding his forces through enemy fire, carefully coordinating their counterattacks. Valeria's forces fought fiercely, clearly determined to seize control of Titan's valuable research data. Ethan realized quickly that Titan's outpost held crucial knowledge, research that could change the balance of the war significantly. "Olivia, secure the data from the main facility," Ethan instructed firmly. "We can't let Valeria get it." "Understood." Olivia responded immediately. Leading a small squadron toward Titan's surface. Ethan continued commanding the battle in space, expertly maneuvering his fleet to counter Valeria's aggressive tactics. He directed precise strikes, slowly pushing back the Zalorian ships, but the enemy fought relentlessly. Meanwhile, Olivia reached the research facility on Titan, swiftly entering to secure the critical data. She and her team moved quickly, downloading the research files urgently. Time was short. They knew Valeria's forces would soon attempt to breach the station directly. As Olivia and her team finished securing the files, Zalorian troops suddenly stormed the facility, engaging them fiercely. Olivia fought bravely, defending her team while ensuring the safe transfer of the data. Back in orbit, Ethan sensed the situation becoming more dangerous. Enemy reinforcements arrived rapidly, increasing pressure on humanity's fleet. Ethan's ship took heavy fire, alarms blaring loudly as critical systems began failing. "Captain Cole, we can't sustain this much longer," a crew member warned urgently. "We hold our ground," Ethan replied firmly, determination shining in his eyes. "Olivia needs more time." Ethan skillfully piloted his damaged ship, dodging enemy attacks while coordinating a defensive formation. Yet the Zalorian forces pressed harder, gaining ground steadily. Ethan realized he needed to draw the enemy away to buy Olivia more time. All ships regroup and follow my lead, Ethan commanded. Decisively, he steered his vessel directly into the enemy's formation, firing strategically to draw their attention. Valeria's fleet took the bait, pursuing Ethan aggressively. Ethan maneuvered swiftly, guiding them away from Titan's outpost. The risk was immense, but Ethan remained resolute, knowing the importance of the research data Olivia secured. Meanwhile, Olivia and her team successfully finished downloading the vital information. However, their exit was blocked by Zalorian soldiers. Olivia fought courageously, her team battling bravely alongside her. Just when their situation seemed desperate, reinforcements from Ethan's fleet arrived, swiftly turning the tide. The facility secured, Olivia quickly boarded a shuttle, racing to rejoin Ethan's fleet. "Ethan, we have the data," she reported urgently. "Good work," Ethan replied, relief evident in his voice. "Now, let's get out of here." Ethan swiftly coordinated a retreat, carefully guiding his fleet away from Titan. The Zalorian ships pursued closely, but Ethan's tactical maneuvers allowed humanity's forces to escape safely. Returning to Earth, Ethan and Olivia immediately delivered the crucial research to Admiral Clark. Scientists quickly began analyzing the data, discovering groundbreaking technology that could significantly strengthen humanity's defenses. Ethan watched closely as scientists developed the new technologies, knowing they could drastically alter the war's outcome. Humanity's fleet underwent rapid upgrades, becoming stronger and more advanced. Ethan and Olivia trained extensively with these new tools, preparing carefully for future confrontations. Soon, reports arrived that Valeria was planning another significant attack. This time, she targeted Earth directly, gathering her entire remaining fleet for an overwhelming assault. Ethan immediately began preparations, knowing this battle would determine humanity's fate. Olivia stood beside him, sharing his resolve. Together, they carefully reviewed battle strategies, determined to defend Earth at all costs. The day of battle arrived swiftly. Ethan and Olivia stood together on the command deck, ready to face Valeria's massive fleet approaching rapidly. "This is our moment," Ethan said confidently, addressing his fleet clearly. "We fight for our home, our families, our future. Stand strong." As Valeria's ships closed in, Ethan's upgraded fleet met them bravely, fighting fiercely. The battle raged intensely, bright explosions illuminating the darkness of space. Ethan piloted skillfully, directing precise attacks using their newfound technological advantage. Valeria's battleship appeared powerful and intimidating. Her voice filled their communication systems, filled with hatred and determination. "Captain Cole, today humanity falls," Valeria snarled. "Never," Ethan replied strongly, his resolve unwavering. "Today your tyranny ends." Valeria attacked fiercely, her battleship unleashing devastating firepower. Yet humanity's upgraded fleet fought resiliently, matching her aggression effectively. Ethan skillfully directed coordinated strikes, severely damaging Valeria's flagship. Realizing her disadvantage, Valeria suddenly steered her heavily damaged ship directly toward Ethan's vessel, intent on destroying him personally. "Ethan, look out!" Olivia warned urgently, seeing the impending danger. Ethan reacted swiftly, expertly maneuvering to avoid a catastrophic collision. The two ships passed closely, narrowly avoiding disaster. Valeria's ship spun uncontrollably, critically. Damaged and unable to continue fighting, Valeria's voice filled their channels, desperate and defeated. "This isn't over, Captain Cole." "It is," Ethan replied firmly. "Your war ends today." Valeria's remaining fleet, witnessing her defeat, quickly retreated. Ethan watched quietly as her damaged ship drifted away, relieved and hopeful, returning. To Earth, Ethan and Olivia were once again celebrated as heroes. Yet Ethan knew the war had changed, bringing hope for lasting peace. Standing quietly together, Ethan and Olivia watched humanity's celebrations, deeply moved by their courage and unity. "We faced our greatest challenge today," Olivia said gently. "And we overcame it. Together," Ethan agreed warmly. As long as humanity stands united, we can overcome anything. Ethan and Olivia shared a quiet smile, their hearts filled with hope and determination, ready to face whatever challenges the future held.